Wars.
Okay.
Should I not blabber on this time?
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
No, I don't have anywhere to go. I can do it as well.
This is going to be so at least archived, so no worries. Okay. Okay, yeah, just naturally
Okay, just blabber
how
on.
you feel.
Great.
Okay, Giampaolo, thank you again for being here.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
This is our take two. We have the audio on today. Hello, we're awake. So tell us, Giampaolo, you've already spelled your name for me. Thank you
Yes.
very much. What is your major here at JCU?
My major is international relations with a minor in history, but hopefully a double major with history as well.
Yeah, good on you. So can you tell us where you're from?
Well, I am half Mexican and half Italian. I grew up mostly in Mexico, 19 years in Mexico. I'm currently 20 years old. And I grew up in a cute little city called Puerto Vallarta in the state of Jalisco.
Jalisco. Okay. And so how let me ask this question. I didn't ask you before. A new one. So what relationship do you have with the arts, if any, considering you're an international affairs major?
It was related to my major, just in life in general.
In life in general?
Well, I'm currently dating an art major person. My girlfriend loves art, so
Yeah.
I've been exposed to it a lot recently. But before that, I'll divide it in two sections if that's okay.
Sure.
My first section would be back when I was in Mexico. I actually used to have a unibrow, and I used to get bullied a lot because of my unibrow. But my mother decided to one day take me to this art museum and expose me to Frida Kahlo. And ever since then, I explored so much of Frida Kahlo and her meanings and the artwork she did. So I really fell in love with that. Afterwards, I enjoyed a lot of romantic art, with mostly depictions of the Napoleonic Wars, maybe the Greek Revolution, and stuff like that really showed a lot for my love of history, because as much as you can read about history, it's always amazing to see it represented, you know.
And here we are in Rome. We're in the epicenter.
Literally, it's amazing. It's just for me watching all those. I'm gonna use a painting of the Napoleonic Wars. I don't know the name sadly, but seeing these big armies just marching in the winters of Russia, to me, it's absolutely amazing to see both the things I love and read about so vividly represented equally vividly in a way that's just, you feel like you're there and you feel like you're just looking into a spot in history which you could only read about before. So I do love art in that sense.
Yeah, you have a really historical tie to that.
I do.
And it's interesting because I was never a big historian. I hated it. It was my worst subject in high school. And then as soon as I began to study art history, I became so involved in it and much more interested. And I remember my history teacher used to kind of bag on art historians as being like lame or nerdy or whatever. But I really want to send him a postcard now and say, hey, look, this is what got me interested in history. Because with art, it's like you said, you're put there in the middle. You understand more of the culture and the time.
Yes.
It's visual.
Yeah, exactly.
We're visual learners, perhaps.
I believe I am. Also a very I am very visual when I come to learning. Also, I'm terrible at math. So what my mother would do is use little Legos to count little things. So that's what started my visual learning. And with the exaltation of the paintings, once again going to the Napoleonic Wars, I'm reading a book about the Napoleonic Wars, so it's in my head. Just seeing everything there, it made me realize the scale of the armies, the height of Napoleon, which was a short little guy. But really take into myself and into my essence, the essence of the time, the essence of how things were. I am also reading this other book, which is the only written account of a foot soldier in the Napoleonic army. And once I saw the paintings in the Louvre, I was able to really see, well, yeah, these people lived in terrible conditions, marching in Russia and freezing to death. You can see it on their faces. You can see it on the dirt. Just the tiny little details explain so much about the time, the art piece, and just the general vibe of it, you know?
I mean, we could really go on and on about that, especially now, I mean, since photography has come in, we get to see much more humanness of it. It's like, so before, when it was painted, there was a bit of identity that was
Yes.
taken from that. So we see people, but we don't see this person as Giampaolo who's
Yes.
marching in the fields. No, we see this person that has been painted by this artist.
Yes.
So yeah, that's something interesting that I'm working through in my art as well, as
Ooh,
this identity that's kind of taken from people when you paint them.
interesting.
Anyway, we could go on another tangent about this, but that is another great segue into my next question: is
Ooh.
how did we meet, Gianpaolo?
How did we meet? All thanks to history, party, and alcohol. It's because one of my friends, Julian, he's a fellow Mexican. I love that guy. He decided to ask me if he could invite two friends, and my other friend Johnny, who's from Long Island, he decided to invite another friend. And you, Olivia, and Giggs showed up to my party, which was obviously a Byzantine-themed party, which I wanted to share.
Yeah.
As I previously said on the first take.
Yeah.
It was a.
Sorry about that,
Don't worry about it. I wanted to show them not culturally appropriate, but culturally celebrate the Byzantine Empire and the Byzantine
Yeah.
court. So it was this whole party where we all dressed up like diplomats, like warriors, like princesses and princes, duchesses and. I don't know the other word for the Dutch. For duchesses, is gender.
Duchess,
Duchess and
duchesses,
duchesses, I guess. I'm guessing.
sisters.
But yeah, we met because you showed up, and then we just started talking, and then I remember I was talking about your tattoo as well, and you went on about this conversation about it, and it was lovely stuff. And that's how the. Oh, was I not supposed to mention that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to remember. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, because I said like, oh, your tattoo is pretty cool, and then you like rolled up your sleeve and you were talking all about it, and that's how the friendship started. Then
Yeah.
here I am talking about in this little, would you call it a podcast? Not really.
It's kind of a podcast at this point. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And this little podcast, just enjoying each other's company and talking about history and experiences and everything.
Yeah. Oh, I really appreciate you being here and taking the time to look at a bit of my work. So without further ado, I think we'll go ahead and play it.
Okay.
There's not much of an intro to give you other than I think you'll see that it's a bit of a social experiment.
Ooh.
So I would just ask you to go ahead and play it and
If I may say a comment about social experiments.
Sure.
I'm actually a big fan of social experiments.
Wonderful.
I used to look at them a lot in Twitter and in Reddit and in YouTube as well. Usually, I'm a big gamer, so they would use video games to try and use social experiments. Like, for example, would feudalism work better, or what if, or just social scenarios like this that are very interesting. So I'm excited to even know more that. I know
great.
It's a social experiment.
Great. Hopefully, it doesn't disappoint.
No, I highly doubt it. I'm very easily impressionable. I'm like a little golden retriever, you know? Okay, I'll push start technology. There you go.
Okay, great. So, as we're going on here, you said earlier that maybe you're not a great visual communicator. I want to reassure you that that's no worries here.
Okay.
My goal in interviewing people is to find a variety of people with different relationships with art.
Of course.
So, just put it in layman's terms. No big deal.
Be my eyes, be my hands. Beautiful little. Is that the title of it? Beautiful title. Okay. It looks cold. Definitely very cold.
Yes.
Ooh, tape. As you may see, I'm not very well at explaining it.
I love this.
Okay, so I see kind of like crutches. Are those crutches or what? They're crutches. Okay, interesting. Oh, cute little dog. What is this in Rome?
No, it's in Cesena.
Oh.
About 30 minutes from Ravenna.
Oh, lovely stuff. Hey, maybe I'll go to visit soon enough. So I'm seeing your back right now. I'm trying to understand. Okay, be my eyes, be my hands. So you're just standing there and I see this person, I think, just looking at you. May I try? I'm confused about what she's trying to do. Oh, she's... Okay, so with the crutches, she's helping you paint. Fascinating. Oh my... This really it brings me thoughts of human emotions. For example, kind of like I'm not calling you a help dog, but it reminds me of help dogs because
Call
for
me what you will.
I know that's rude, but like for example, it's like for blind people or they use dogs to help them out and everything, and it creates a connection between them. In this way, well, art in itself is just a connection to our environment and art and life, and we put essence of life into our art. So in this way, you are kind of like a not a canvas, but a conveyor of somebody's art, for example. Now, I know a lot of people don't feel confident doing art. I personally feel horrible doing art. I can only draw like a cat that looks like a dick, honestly. But through this, I would feel more confident because I wouldn't be scared of trying to do something. And it's like, it not only does it bond with people because it's just a random person helping you out, like doing it, but it also gives a little bit of their soul to the piece of art. And it's a bunch of people I'm seeing as well, so I'm guessing it's a bunch of little souls combined into one little art piece. I think that's beautiful. Oh my god, the little kids. Oh, don't be shy, go there. Come on. Oh no, they left. A shame. Oh, he had a little hat, adorable. Did you ever get tired by just holding it like this?
Strangely, it was a bit comfortable.
Fair enough. I mean, my arms are like spaghetti, so I think they would just give up into like an hour and a half in it. Okay, fair. Oh, is the little girl gonna do it? Ah, she is. Wonderful. So, as well, like I was saying, the little pieces of the soul putting into the artwork, and it's not only adults, it's also little kids. Then, so it's a very human painting. I would like to say it's a very human painting. Yes, that is indeed beautiful. I just read the subtitles and I agreed with them. Wow. How did you feel, if you don't mind me asking, when people were painting through you?
Um, it was nerve-wracking at first. I was afraid no one would interact with me and I would go home with a blank canvas. Um, but I was impressed with how many people spoke to me and asked permission before interacting.
Very important to ask permission. I absolutely agree with that.
Right. It was exciting.
I can see that. I would be fascinated to do this, honestly, but I don't think I have the arm strength and leg strength to stand there for so long. But I mean, even if I may, if you went back with a empty canvas, I think that would have been still artistic because it would show how the death of the community and the death of just. I'm not saying I don't advocate for individualism because I do, but there definitely in the modern world there's been a death of community and just helping the neighbor or connecting with the neighbor or connecting with the community. At least I would like to say that. Um, and if you went back with a white canvas, it would have shown how individualistic and isolated we've become. I think that still would have been incredibly artistic, even if it's a blank canvas or not. There's still art because there's meaning behind that art and meaning behind why it was empty. Maybe people are more shy now. Maybe post-COVID, people became more isolated. I think that would have also been quite the fascinating statement, whether there's art or no art at the end of the day. It's all about how we connect with the paintings and with the society around it.
Cheers.
I see 3 question marks. Yes, that is me usually during class. Oh my god, it's a cute little baby boy. Did anybody draw a dick by any chance?
That was a concern that I had as well.
I can imagine. I would have been pretty scared of that as well. Because
I had many worries that someone would take my things and run off with them. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm also blindfolded, so I'm totally vulnerable to what's going on.
I did not notice you were blindfolded at all. I mean, I assume it now because of the title, but no, I didn't notice until now. Fascinating. Were your ears plugged as well, or were you... Okay, so you were still able to hear as well. Did you understand anything that they were saying, or were you just completely alienated?
I became so immersed in the environment that even people speaking in the distance, I couldn't tell if they were speaking with me or or if they were just speaking amongst themselves. Because so I became a bit on edge about
Mm-hmm.
when I should get involved, when I should speak.
Did you ever break and speak?
Yes, yes. The blue captions are mine.
Okay, the blue captions are yours. Also, I love your little hat. It's so cute.
I had to.
Fair enough. Is there any specific reasons you chose this spot?
Um, it's very frequented in Cesena.
Hmm.
Just behind me is the Duomo. And this was shot in December. It was cold, you're correct. And just behind me there was an ice skating rink, and they were setting up a Christmas market.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was in the morning, so it's bustling and full of kids. And it's probably one of the most popular piazzas in Cesena.
I see. I also see somebody that went in and gave you a tip as well. Do you get a lot of tips from this?
No, that would be my only tip. I was very surprised by that as well. I did not have a tip jar out.
You should have. Next time you should have, maybe. I mean, it's not about the money, but still, I mean, if they're going to give you a bit, might as well, you know?
This is something that I'm looking to do in Rome soon. So.
Well, if you do, let me know because I want to be part of this.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
I'll have to get a bigger canvas.
I actually have a pretty big canvas back at home if you want to use it.
Cool.
And I know a few art places here as well. I can.
Yeah, I need to get introduced to a few.
Anne and I can take you very happily. What was the distance between you and the people as well, like with the crutches? Was it very long or was it kind of close?
I measured it to a meter.
To a meter, okay. Still kind of far though. But you can still feel the connection, I'm guessing.
Not everyone grabbed the crutches by the end, though.
Oh, really?
I believe the last participant grabbed it at my elbow.
Ah. I see. I want to see what it's looking like, but I cannot see it yet, and I'm very intrigued by it. I see like a little brown line thing. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm also kind of blind too, so. Would you say you're satisfied with whatever came out of it at the end?
Absolutely.
Huh.
For the experience, but also the painting, I think, speaks to many themes that you've discussed.
I would say I'm pretty eloquent and perceptive, even though I'm not good at describing things.
No, I think you're great at describing things.
Thank you. Hey, just in time, the caption said thank you. Okay. A little kid on the bicycle. Did anybody at any point swear you off or something like that?
No, we did have the local police pull up and slow down and take a good look, but that's it.
Were they rude or were they pretty supportive of it?
They went about their day. They didn't say anything.
Did they participate?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. Would have been interesting to see what a policeman would draw in this sort of sense because, well, at least, this is pre-Giorgia Meloni, but at least the things with the police, was it the Carabinieri or was it the police?
I believe it was the local police, yeah.
Okay.
But I was blindfolded. I was just told later.
Fair enough.
Here we are.
Is that the end? Okay, yes, I do want to see it. Huh. I do see a little bit, and maybe it's because they were doing it with crutches through your hand, but a few of the strokes seem aggressive. That's what I'm noticing here. Very thick as well. And just the other day I had this, somebody was trying to decipher my personality through my writing, and I learned about how different strokes can differ different emotions as well.
We say in America, different strokes for different folks.
Different strokes for different folk. I like that. A new saying. You learn something new every day. I see a lot of, I don't know if it's anger or resentment, but I see a lot of thick lines. A lot of, I don't know, it gives me the vibe that maybe the Italian society, at least on the north, seems a bit frustrated or a bit cautious or a bit they don't know how to connect with other people because they were doing it through you. And maybe because they don't know how to connect, they were doing it rougher, or maybe
Yeah.
they were doing it more lighter. That's a fascinating point.
Well, I think going back to the crutches, there were most people that grabbed them from a distance at that meter's distance, and others that grabbed it there at the elbow for more control. It has a lot to do, I think, with how comfortable people feel controlling someone who is being completely vulnerable, and and how much one can be influenced from a meter's distance.
Yeah, a lot of people can be influenced in many ways. I mean, psychological manipulation is a thing, and you don't even touch a person for that. But maybe it's a post-COVID thing. Maybe people are not comfortable to go, because I saw a few old people that kept it a lot at a distance but still wanted to participate, and maybe they were scared to get too close. Maybe they were not. Maybe they were gonna think you were gonna turn around and smack them with a crutch. Who knows? But definitely, maybe a lot of distrust, or definitely a lot of avoidance to closeness. I don't know if you've heard of the Hedgehogs dilemma before.
No.
There's I heard it a long time ago. It was back when I was 14. I remember it's both a psychological and philosophical thing. It's a metaphor for closeness of people. There's winter and there's two little hedgehogs, and they want to get warm. But the closer they get to each other, the more they hurt each other because of their spines. Maybe we as a society, at least a post-COVID society, are trying to get closer because it's cold out there in the world. You know, it's heartless. It's very lonely, but even though we're trying to get closer with other people, and we both, at the end of the day, we both, there's always pain, whether it's the cold of frostbite, I'm guessing. Do hedgehogs even get frostbite? I don't even know if they get it. Anyways, back to the metaphor. Maybe it's because whether they're at a distance or close to each other, we're still going to hurt each other, but people choose to hurt each other because they're worth it. Maybe people were, and I'm just maybe far reaching or speculating, this is the emotion I'm getting, and I'm trying to be, not trying to be, I'm being as genuine as I can be. Maybe they were scared of being a participant, but they were still brave enough to get there, even though it's at a distance. Maybe they didn't want to hurt each other on their spikes, but they wanted to get close enough to still be able to participate and feel that warmth.
I love that.
It's a cool metaphor, really.
Yeah.
I learned it from an anime, though, but still.
What anime is
Yeah,
that
it was Evangelion.
Okay.
Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is a very philosophical anime at that.
Okay,
talks
it
about,
sounds like it.
it's pretty good, also extremely depressing, but still, very nice stuff.
Hey, it's that same thing. It's a good one, but it's depressing. Huh?
Yeah.
The closer you get, it's the more. It's like putting on the rose-colored glasses, right?
Definitely.
Right.
I
When you
actually-
take them off, it hurts. You see the world for what it is.
Yes.
Right. But it's that reality that that you have to confront, right?
I mean, the thing is, with the rose-colored glasses, I very recently learned about this through a friend called Alfredo. Yes, you man. He was telling me about how I need to take them off, but he wishes he never took them off. And he was telling me, because he's a bit of an older brother to me, he was telling me, I want to advise you to take them off and to see things as they are. But if you do, I would be lying to you, telling you that I don't miss it because I never got that emotion again. And for me, I've decided to partially take them off. To a certain degree, I still see the beauty and exaltation of the rose-colored glasses. Yet, I'm going to use winter as a metaphor. Even let's say I take the glasses off in winter, right? I still get to see those pretty little roses out there in the world within the winter because yeah, well, not everything is going to be rose colored in the whole world with those glasses. You can at least see little specks of it yet. And I think that's the beauty of the world, no? If we decide what to look for and if we can find our little roses without the glasses, I think it's absolutely worth it to see those little roses, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting because it's like you describe it almost like without the rose-colored glasses, there may not be as much beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely harsher. We become more cynical about it.
Yeah.
But we need to decide not to choose that cynicism. At the end of the day, it's a
Right.
choice to whether become cynical or not. I used to be a very big cynic, and then I decided, well, why only look at the bad when I can also choose to look at the good? And when I started to decide to look at the good, in this metaphor of winter, we take them off, I started to see one little rose, another little rose, another little rose, and because of that, I see both the beauty of the real world and the sadness. And even though it's not about the quantity of the beauty you see, but the quality of the beauty you see, you
Mm,
know? And in this field of just snow, the exaltation of the rose and the beauty becomes even more at the end of the day.
right.
And the quantity of the little roses you see makes it more beautiful and worth it to just see those little ones.
Giampaolo, I think you're full of shit. You're a great visual communicator.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it. Trust me. I mean, this is exactly what I need, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see that an international affairs major is just so articulate
Um,
and
that's
and.
if I may, that's the thing though. I am studying politics and international relations as much as I hate economics though. Um, I am studying it because back when I was choosing what major to go into, I originally wanted to be either a film writer or a game director because I love writing. I've always wanted to write a book, never found the time though. But the thing is, my mother's friend, I forgot her name, but she gave me this advice: why just study the structure of English or literature or creative writing
Yeah.
when you can study? Because I wanted to write about politics, I wanted to write intrigue, for example, Game of Thrones style, or maybe I don't know, modern
Dante's
politics,
Inferno.
Dante's Inferno as well, something like that. But why not study politics, understand the basis of politics, and then apply that to your writing? Because you already have the knowledge, you already have the field you studied in, you already have the experience from taking internships, from taking jobs, and afterwards you write about your own experience and combine it with the fictional one.
Mm.
And that's why I chose international relations, not because I want to become a diplomat. I mean, it would be
Right.
nice to become a diplomat, of course, tax evasion and everything. But the thing is, I do
We're
it.
only honest here.
Yeah, we're only honest. You have to be honest. You know, it's one of the biggest virtues you can be. But yeah, I chose it because I want to write better about the reality of life, and I think the
I love
reality of
that.
life is to study the field. If you want to write about psychology, well, you study psychology and you write about it. If you
Mm.
want to write about history, you study history and then you write about it. Not just focus on other great writers when you yourself can become a great writer by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
It's also a little.
You ought to add another minor to communications.
I mean, I was also going to study marketing. I switched careers all over the time because my mother studied marketing, but then I decided it wasn't my thing because I thought it was very corporate.
Marketing is tough.
Yeah.
It's
I
hard
don't.
to,
I don't like to lie to people to buy
it's
a
hard to
product.
be like philosophical and write about marketing. Oh my god.
Yeah. But there's and if I may add another point, hopefully I'm not too blabbering too much.
No, you're great.
I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, and I remember there was this one scene when one of the dudes who he had a beard and he was a little bit overweight. I forgot his name though. He was saying he became this a magistrate, which was those dudes who like jot down everything in books and everything. You watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna explain it there.
Yeah.
And he became like a librarian, which is the people who it's a medieval world, so they just write down everything in books. But he said, "I am tired of being the one that writes about other great men's deeds. I want to be the great man that wants to write the deeds." So he left his job and went to deliver this sword to Jon Snow, who was actually, spoiler alert, he was actually a Targaryen. But the thing is, he decided to leave behind just the studying of other great men and become the great man himself. And I believe if I had studied film writing or something like this, not to throw shade at writers or people who study
I'm
it.
feeling the shade.
Oh no, not to throw the shade, but for me, at least personally speaking, it's
It
like
got cold in here.
for me at least, it's like rather than learn the composition about other great poets, I want to become the great poet by learning about life and then writing about life.
Exactly. You know, the same sort of thing has come to light about my artwork is I transferred here from art school and I'm finding now that I'm more immersed in my studies rather than my practice. My practice is getting so much better.
There you go.
I mean, yeah, it's strange.
Through the coldness of life, of the winter of life, we are able to create warmth in our own vision and share it with the world.
Absolutely. I love that. Love that.
I mean, I do love just being wordy and adding the little flowery stuff. So yes.
This is perfect. Well, Giampaolo, I think we just have a few more minutes as I have a next guest coming in.
Of course.
So I just want to wrap this up again, closing with you. So we saw that the act had a lot to do with influence. We touched on topics of COVID and vulnerability
Yeah.
and a bit of handicap, like being blind and
Hmm.
human interaction, connection. I really loved what you had to say. I'm curious, who is someone that has greatly influenced you in your life?
Oof, that's a hard question. Somebody has. Rather than say somebody, I'm gonna say history. The concept of history has influenced me a lot in life. Why? Because through the great deeds of other men and other women, I'm able to see how I can become as well great and share virtues with other people. If that's an answer I can give, or do I need to say somebody specific?
I loved how you approached that from an accumulative standpoint.
Because
I will say that you are the first person to do that, and I love that you took the initiative to answer that in that way. Yeah, absolutely, that's a great answer.
well, like, there's a thing I'd like to say just to close off, not to run off, and I'm sorry if I'm running off and
No,
everything.
no, you're great.
I always like to say you find a piece of yourself from when you meet and talk to people. Yes, you get to meet other people, you get to meet their viewpoints, but in the time you get to meet them and their viewpoints and their experiences, you learn a little hidden part about yourself. I like talking with anybody and everybody. Just the other day, I was in Piazza Trilusa, and there was this homeless man that I just started talking with. His name was Marseille, and he told me his life story and everything. And I like just whenever I'm not around my girlfriend or with friends, I just roam around and talk to random people. Maybe the modern day Jesus. I talk with the fishermen. I talk with the marginalized people, the people who are not marginalized. I just the more I get to meet people and the more I help them or the more I interact with them, the more I discover about myself and become more full. Why find fullness in materialism and in other things when you can find fullness in the roots of yourself and other people?
Yes, yes. Cheers to that. It's actually insane. It's blowing my mind that you're saying this right now. It's like you've read my fucking journal. Have you been stalking me, my dude?
I have not. I have not. I am as harmless as a fly.
Giampaolo, you basically explained my you explained my painting project that I'm working on right now. I'm working on a series of portraits of people that I find in the streets.
Of course.
And you said you could meet the modern day Jesus. And I just want to like sit back in my seat and take this in because I believe we established before that we're Christians, but
Yes.
we're like Christ followers. Like we're not sure.
We don't believe in the whole institution. We mostly
Yeah.
believe in, like, be good to your neighbor.
Yes.
Do the virtues.
Values.
The values. Thank
The
you. The values.
There we go. Okay, yeah, let's tiptoe around that one. But for everything you just said, I mean, you just like put like whipped cream on the cake and like cherry on top
I'm so
of
happy.
this like package that I've been trying to put together about meeting new people and finding more of yourself in complete strangers. Fuck, like I just want to pick your brain even more now. You're
welcome
stuck.
to.
You're stuck.
You're welcome to. I love being intrigued. My brain is an enigma. You're welcome
Man,
to.
Giampaolo, I mean, you've totally turned this around. And I have to get you involved in that, man.
Of
Because
course.
you really described that in a beautiful way. Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Genuinely.
I'll have to show you some of the portraits later.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So great. So history has influenced you, which is really, really interesting. I love that.
Well, when I say people, it doesn't need to be alive people. It can be people from a long time ago.
Sure.
Sappho is, she was a lesbian Greek poet. I'm not sure if you know about her.
No.
You should read her stuff. Amazing stuff. And even though she was like pre-Hellenic when it was the Republic cities, or the city-states, I'm sorry, she was able to describe a lot of things I felt. And through that, I was able to discover another piece of myself. It can be people alive, it can be people who are not alive, it can be fictitious, not fictitious, just people. Just if they have an essence of humanity, you can learn from it a piece of yourself.
Absolutely. Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I'm so in agreement with you right now. What the fuck? Isn't it always so surprising? It's like how do you even respond? Like fist bump?
Fist bump.
Oh man. Okay. So I would love to keep going on with you today, but let's kind of come to a close. You did say something about how you asked me about the environment. That's what it was that I
Yes.
was in for this performance.
Yes.
And you asked why I chose that square.
Yes.
And you used a bit of your imagination to kind of like ponder how things would change if it were set up differently or in a different spot. So I just want to know, using your imagination, how do you think this act may change if it were performed in a different space, say more frequented, diverse, or even more controlled, like in a museum space? What kind of connotations be may be transformed by the space itself?
Well, since it was done in a square, there's more variety, more people of different walks of life. If you were to do it in a museum, definitely more intellectuals in that sense, unless an intellectual partner takes a non-intellectual partner to a museum, and that's a thing, but that's a variable. There's but it definitely if it's done in the streets, you get to have anybody from any walk of life, kid, not kid. I mean, I rarely see kids in a museum. Like when I went to the Louvre, there were no kids. If you were to do it in the Louvre, for example, to use as an art museum, definitely intellectuals and tourists. If you were to do it on maybe the beach, I don't know, it's people who are on vacation and they have their mindset in a different place. It's the mindset that the place gives it. You know, if it was, I don't know, even in the same place but in a different time space. This was pre Giorgia Meloni, let's say, and I'm using this because I'm a international relations major.
Yes, of course.
For example, Giorgia Meloni, for those who don't know, is a right-wing Italian politician. Her motto is God, country, and family. If let's say 2 years from now, into Meloni's dictatorship, let's just call it that, into Meloni's dictatorship of Italy, it would have been like definitely a different environment because people's mindset changes alongside the environment they're on. The politics, the environment.
Everything.
Maybe it becomes more conservative and more radicalized. Maybe with if it was done even previously than COVID, maybe people wouldn't be as scared. It's a lot of time and space that matters, not only the place you're at. It's the time that you're doing it, post what events, and in the place you're doing it, well, it's the crowd you're doing it with.
Right.
So, and the crowd can even change even if it's in the same place.
Right.
So a lot of things come into that variable, and I think even if you did it in a different time in the same place, it would have been a completely different result.
Right. And that's what I'm so excited about. I mean, this could totally be changed, and I'm excited to see what will come about here in Rome.
Yeah, well, so hopefully I'm able to be part of that, and I'll be able to see it.
I would love to have you there, man. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on. I do have to rush us off now.
Okay, I understand.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we log off?
Connect with people. Even if you're scared, even if you're a little hedgehog, the pain is worth it. Bravery and courage is doing something even though you're gonna get hurt. So through this experiment, connect with people, because through connecting with people, you're gonna be able to find more about yourself and be at peace with yourself. So get out there, meet people. Don't, I mean, if you want to get drunk, go get drunk, but there's so many ways you can meet people and just honestly fill your soul with everything and just become full of your soul and create those fruits as long as you can create them.
I love it. Thank you so much, Giampaolo.
Fist bump.
Stay creative, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, logging off.